Ndewo. Ndewo is an Igbo Nigerian word that means long life to all of you. That is what I hope and pray for each and every one of you gathered here today underneath the sound of my voice. Thank you so much for joining us again for another episode of Chiism Today. My co-host, Dibio Chwaja Yudi Onyoha, is not going to be with us today because he's taking a little vacation, as we should all do now and then. He's taking his stepson to college, which is a good thing, considering all that we are going through right now. It is a wonderful thing to know that your precious child is off to college. So he's not going to be with us today, but I want to thank Chineke, Most High, for this wonderful opportunity, for giving me the opportunity to inhale and exhale and walk amongst the living, 6 feet above ground. That is a beautiful place to be. And I want to thank you for welcoming me into your homes. And again, I always say it, I trust that I will not abuse that honor. So thank you, thank you. This is a very, very special program today because this program is addressing one of my favorite programs, one of the most critical programs, I think, that Chiism is engaged in, and that is the giving. Onyinye means to give to others. We're living in a very, very difficult time. I mean, you hear about all the challenges in America, in England, in Paris, in France, and all the other countries that are fighting the COVID pandemic. But so is Africa as well. Africa is fighting the COVID tragedy, and it is quite devastating. It isn't even, the devastation is not talked much about as it pertains to Africa. The plight of the African during this time is really quite difficult. I am going to be speaking today with a special guest, Onyoha, who is the president of Hamba Kitchen, and Oba would like to say. We always have when we have a guest from the continent is always the technical difficulties. But Oba is the president of the Hamba Kitchens. He's located in Umuahia, Nigeria. Umuahia is in Abia State in the eastern part of Nigeria, and he has been instrumental in helping us with the feeding program of Onyinye. He goes. What we try to do is find the areas that are most impacted by the disease. Can you hear me? But can you hear me? I keep saying, can you hear me? You can hear me now?
Yes, I can.
You can hear me now? Very
Yes, I
good.
can.
Very good. Thank you so much for joining us. Like I said earlier, Oba is the president of Hamba Kitchens. And it's a very difficult thing that he does because, he's in an environment where people are really struggling. And to have the heart to go out there into we try to go into shall I say, the boondocks,
Oh, yeah.
find where there's the most need and feed people. So this is what Oba is about. Before we talk to Oba, I want to just share information that I got. It's a report that was filed recently by Sam Olukova in Lagos, Nigeria, as well as Kareem Kamara in Conakry, Guinea. And that report is quite devastating in terms of what's going on in Africa. I know we don't really, as I indicated earlier, we don't always talk about what's going on in Africa. But the pandemic is really making, exacerbating the hunger issue in Africa. You know, the severe hunger is really, as much as the COVID pandemic is devastating, but the severe hunger is just as devastating. There are measures that were put in place to slow the spread of the coronavirus, but what it is doing is pushing millions of people in Africa into severe hunger. You know, the relief agencies in Africa are really sounding a warning. And then you have, in East Africa, you have the locusts. Eastern Africa, you have locusts that are not under control, and they are really devastating the food supply. If you look in Lagos, I was watching a video was showing the devastation of the hunger. You have people in Lagos scrambling. Oh, am I right? Scrambling for
Oh yeah.
food.
Oh
It,
yes, you
it,
are.
it has become it's
Absolutely.
become normal. Literally, is
Yeah.
a normal thing that you see. The federal government, I understand, and some of the relief organizations are doing the best they can to provide food for the people, but the demand, the devastation, the demand, the need is so vast. And one of the other problems that you're having as a result of the pandemic is food hikes. You know,
Yeah.
the food prices are going up to the roof, and no farming in some areas, and no farming, and then some areas that depend on cattle rearing, right? The
Yeah.
cattle grazing because of the closed borders. They are not able to graze to take their cows for grazing as they usually do. There are about 24,200, I think, 24,200, 397 cases of COVID 19 recorded in Africa as of April the 21st.
Mm.
Okay, so that is when you think about all the struggling that was already in existence. Now you've added the
Terrible.
pandemic, that and the local issue. Burkina Faso is so devastated by the lack of food supply. It is the response is not meeting the needs of the exploding needs of the people. You see, so what we have going on now is definitely a need for us, all of us, to make contributions. We have to contribute to what's going on, and this is what we're trying to do um, with the Onyinye Project. What we're trying to do now is to feed as much as we can because the money is needed. I keep asking, I keep letting people know, look, we can't do this by ourselves.
Yeah.
We need help. We need you to support the Onyinye Project because the need is devastating, not just in Nigeria, all over, all over. This is what's frightening to me. They are estimating that if we don't do something about the food shortages in Africa right now, 300,000 people could be dying a day. You hear what I just said?
Yeah.
300,000 people dying a day?
That's terrible.
That is, that's too much devastation. So at this point, I'm going to bring in um, Uba. Uba, I'd like you to share a little bit about what you're experiencing right now on the ground in Abia State.
Thank you so much, Chief Doctor Oshimiri. It's a pleasure to be here. You know, it's been quite an experience since the pandemic. Well, since COVID was pronounced a pandemic all over the world, and then you had cities shutting down daily. And people's livelihood were coming to a halt. You find people because the way things are structured here in Nigeria is very different from the way things are structured in so many other places, and people, a lot of people are on the streets hustling day in, day out to be able to put food on the table for them, for their family, and for the kids. But with the whole lockdown and with the whole thing, with the whole, locking down of cities and society and everything, people can't go to work, people can't hustle, people can't work daily, people can live their daily lives and provide for their family. It has been horrible. You find people, literally people you knew that used to work, on the road. They get their daily pay from pushing barrows, trucks, bricklayers, and all that. You find that there is nothing going on. People are starving. You find grown people begging you for as little as 50 naira, 100 naira. They can't eat. They can't even afford to put anything on their table. I mean, you see them literally. It's not a question of, oh, he may be like, you see the suffering in their face, in their expression, by the way they talk. The other day, I was just going out of my house and I saw this. Here we call them abuki shoemakers, people that shine shoes and clean shoe, polish your shoes and all them that. And the guy was just seated opposite my house, and I looked at him. He was looking very weary, and all he could do with his, equipment, he just, he was like this to me. You could see he didn't even have the strength to even talk. You understand what I'm saying? He just, and it was so sad. It was the saddest thing. I just put my hands in my pocket and gave him what I had. So with the whole lockdown and the way things are going right now, it is really bad. People are hungry. People are starving. The basic necessities people need to provide for themselves and their kids, show food. It is hard. It is really, really hard, and it's sad because at a time like this, you would think that things would be made easier or things would be brought, would be cheaper and all that stuff. But it's not. The price of food is going up because due to the lockdown, there's no interstate travels. People can't transport food from, like, you get potatoes and say cabbage and carrots from the north is no longer coming down to the east because the things in the east like palm oil and what have you can no longer go to the north. So it's really, really sad. It's really sad what's going on right now, and down here because it's it's pathetic, and which is why with what we're trying to do with this Onyinye project, which we will try to do weekly. We've been trying to try and have it weekly, according to the funds we try to raise, through the support of, AWEC, Jidena Studios, American Success Network, Chiism, you know, to put it, the food. Yes, the food is giving people food that day is not the immediate solution. It's not going to make them feel, oh, the problems are not going to disappear, but it's a sign of hope. It gives them, it puts joy on these people's faces. A sign that people out there, or some people, it's like, throwing a party for the motherless babies. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yes, it's not going to be everyday party, but at least for one day, they feel special,
Hmm.
they feel remembered, and they feel loved. And you can see the gratitude in their eyes. The last one I did at Isikwata the other time, I remember sharing a story with someone, and I said to the person, there was an elderly woman that came to me, and she said, with such gratitude in her eyes, I have, I have never had food this good all my life in a village.
Yes,
And
I
you could
remember
see,
that.
yeah, you could see, she said that was everything for me. You understand what I'm saying? So if one is able to put smiles or, celebrate people every day in this time of hardship, it does a lot. It gives people, for some people, it could give them a reason to live. If they felt like they were going to give up, or they were going to say, oh, I'm tired, let me end my life right now, or let me, I can't keep going on. Little kinds of act of kindness like this give people a reason to hang in there and know that tomorrow will be better. Like there's a saying in Igbo, they say, "Macheji na onye akara ụlọ ụbọchị."
That's
When
right.
night has not come, no one should curse the day. So once you give people little, a little bit of hope, it makes them want to hang in there, which is what we're here to do, and that's the essence.
Well,
You
let me
know.
ask you a question. Sometimes when you ask people to help an African organization that's trying to help their own people, you get resistance because somebody tells you, I gave to Red Cross, I
Yeah.
gave to Purple Heart, I gave this humanitarian gift. Yes, that's fine. But there are some of us that have the heart of the people as well, who want to be helpful. Because there are some of these international organizations that don't go way inside where the
Yeah.
need is.
Yeah.
But that's what we're doing. We're going into the villages where nobody is even going to. No matter how much money you've given to the Red Cross and whosoever, we're going inside where people don't have transportation to get to a feeding station, where old women have not eaten. Just think about your grandmother or grandfather who have not eaten for 3, 4, 5 days. Come on. We go and fish them out, so to speak. We go and find them. Tell me about their level of gratitude when they see you coming.
Oh, it is awesome. Like the other time at Isikwata when we were coming, actually, it was it was a very funny experience because a lot of people they actually believe we were gonna come. A lot of people didn't believe it was real. They just felt it was some kind of joke. Who are these people? They don't know us. They're not from here. What's the motive? I mean, come on. They just felt it was probably some political game or some politician or something that was trying to do something. So when we got there, and they said some of them were there, some of them were patiently waiting, while many people didn't bother coming out. Initially and
They
all
didn't
that stuff.
believe it.
They didn't believe it. They couldn't actually believe people were actually coming to do this. So when we got there and we started, and then people the news there spreading around gradually, as going inside. Oh, some people have come, they might be allowed, they've come, and all that stuff. It was priceless. You found some people looking, standing afar, still looking, trying to understand what is all this about, because a lot of Nigerians, especially those in the rural areas, are a bit skeptical about free food and free things,
Yeah,
especially,
free in it.
so so they were just looking at everything. But when I spoke, the person who organized it, Mr. Uche, spoke with them, and I came out and I told them why we're doing this and what the intentions were. There was no ulterior motive. It was just to give people hope and know that there are people who are out there who don't know them, who are
Thinking
not
about
brothers,
them.
thinking about them. And like you mentioned, it's okay to give to the Red Cross. It's okay to give to Purple Heart. It's okay to give to everybody. But then again, we should always remember that these several organizations have their target of the places they feel need help the most. They can't be everywhere.
Yes,
They can't be everywhere. They can't do everything. And there's so many other organizations, and it's not just us. It's not just the
yes.
Onyinye Project. There are other organizations who are reaching out to people in different forms and category all over the world, all over the country as well, and trying to reach and help people in so many ways. And it's a shame that people look at African organizations or things that are from their home and be like, I'm not sure. I'd rather
Yes,
give my money to the Red Cross.
yeah,
Okay, that's fine. But Red Cross is probably helping people in the Middle East and not
that's
helping your
right.
people right here.
Do it
Do you
again.
understand what I'm saying? I'm not saying, for me, I'm not saying don't help people in the Middle East.
No.
If you understand, no, that's not what I'm saying. But don't think that giving to Red Cross alone justifies the fact that you've given or that you're given, because you need everybody. If we don't, that's the thing with the black people, with many Africans, they forget where they come from.
Hmm.
Do you understand? And
Say it
forget the
again.
people who are back home. You understand? You need
Yes,
to build yourself and your people upwards in
yes,
order to have some form of respect from the external community. You
yes,
can't always just be thinking, oh, I helped the Middle East. Oh, I helped these kids in China. I helped these kids in Cambodia. and then the kids in your village don't even have a good food
And
to eat
thank
or
you.
education. You understand?
Thank
It's
you.
crazy.
Thank you.
I
It's
mean,
crazy.
when we come back home and
Yes.
see these things, how do we feel?
Mm.
How do we feel? How do we ask ourselves, what are we doing to improve the next generation, to make the next generation better and make Africa or our people better? Is these little acts of kindness. So people should think, I think people should actually read. It's funny how in programs like this, you find more of white people or non-Africans trying to help than
Oh,
the Africans themselves.
oh my goodness.
It's funny. It's just,
It's, and we're always being told that we
mm,
have to pull ourselves up by a bootstrap, right?
yeah, yeah,
But when you try to do it, people get suspicious of your intentions. Could
and
it
pull you right
possibly
back
be
down.
that we
Yeah,
really care?
and they just pull you right down.
You see, it
It's
pulls you right back. Our spiritual philosophy says, Onye agala one name. As a matter of fact, you want to serve the Creator, you have to serve not your fellow human being. This is how you serve. You don't serve Chineke by staying on your knees. You got to get off your
exactly.
knees. You got to go out there and give to your fellow
Give,
man.
yeah.
This is
You,
how you serve. But when you try to do that, unfortunately, people start saying 419.
it,
Can you imagine that? Can you imagine that you wanting to help your own
mhm.
is not, I don't know if it is that we don't expect that of ourselves or we just don't want to help. I'm not sure which one it is,
No, I
but
think
it's
I
one of
think
the
I
two.
I think the basic problem is people want to give where they will be seen given. Do you
Say
understand what I'm saying?
that again.
Where
Say that again.
people want to give where they will be seen given.
Uh-huh.
You understand? For example, oh, okay, Red Cross is known all over. So they want to be that they give to Red Cross.
Yes.
You understand? So you go down the record, they give to Red Cross. They don't forget that it's actually the little ones that people ignore that matter the most.
Yes.
Because,
But
go ahead. Yeah.
I may ask you to move a little bit from. There's a light behind you. There you go.
Okay.
That's much better.
Okay.
I can see your face. You are a handsome
Okay.
young man, aren't you?
I know, I try.
We are so proud of you. We are absolutely so proud of you for what you're doing. The
Thank
other
you.
thing is, based on now, you're going. Where are you going this coming week to feed? What
Oh,
community?
okay, we're supposed to be at Old Umaher, a place called Umarvo at Old Umaher this community this week. And funny thing, it's kind of nostalgic for me because that's actually where my great grandmother is from. So it's
Yes.
like you can't be doing charity without starting from home.
Yes.
So that's one of my lineage, one of my village from my maternal great grandmother.
Yeah.
So we are hoping to be there this weekend. I mean, this week,
Mhm.
by Thursday, by His grace. We're hoping to be there and spread the love and reach out to the people as well because I know there's hardship everywhere. We see these things every day. We drive around town, we move around town, we see people. There's no day that you move around you don't have at least 4, 5, 6, 7 people asking you for money, some telling you that children haven't eaten.
You
you
know,
know
I get a lot. You can imagine
Mm,
because I'm spearheading the Onyinye Project, so I get a
yeah,
lot of people, not just from the east. I have a lot of people that call me. They're calling. They wait, they don't. Some of them don't understand the difference between time, So when they're
yeah,
up, I'm sleeping. So it may be 2
yeah.
a.m. in the morning, 3 a.m. in the morning, and I'm getting all these calls. One lady really made me very sad because the lady put her child on the phone to cry. This was like 3 a.m. in the morning. The child could not sleep. The child was very hungry, had not eaten for 2 days. Can you imagine your 6-year-old not having eaten for 2 days? So she wanted me to hear the child crying. So, I mean, I was sleepy, but I'm listening to this baby saying, Mommy, please, I'm hungry, I'm hungry, I'm hungry. What do you do in a situation like that? I think maybe I'm giving some people some years now, but I couldn't. What could you do in a situation? So I had to help that family. When I had the ones that are pregnant, one of them just had a baby, and I helped while she was in the hospital, but she's out of the hospital with the baby, no food, no milk, no nothing. I mean, it's devastated. I mean, we can't feed everybody. But my philosophy in life is if you feed one, that's one life you have saved. If 10 were going to be lost, at least it will be 9. That doesn't make it any better. But
Better, yeah.
whatever it is you can save. Now, let me ask you from your experience,
Yeah.
who are the most vulnerable that you're seeing? Who are the most vulnerable people that you're seeing as you go to feed?
Well, like since we go to the rural areas mostly, or we try to make it more about the rural areas because those are usually mostly the forgotten people, and many of them are so way far flung inside that you can't. People actually do forget them. It's difficult to get there, So as it is, we're looking at mostly the aged, the aged people and the young kids. Because you find out that most of this in the villages, what you have a few young people there, but you mostly find more of the elderly ones with their grandkids in the village.
Oh,
Probably their children are somewhere in the city trying to hustle, make a living or make a life, and for now they can't afford to have their kids or their family with them, so they leave them in the villages with their mom, or so you find elderly people with their grandkids, and you find these grandparents working so hard, going to farm. They don't have any jobs per se, but they go to farm every day. They're trying to put food on the table. It's so hard. You see the tiredness and the stress written all over their face. It's really sad. And then you see these kids, who probably due to the lack of the money from the parents or their grandparents, they have to be eating probably the same meal virtually day in, day out. So there's lack of nutrition. You see that they're not well fed. Imagine somebody every day, oh, nine, you're eating only yam, 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 or probably gary, gary, gary. You don't have diversity when it comes to the meals you're eating. So you see people who are hit hard or hardest during this lockdown are the elderly people in the villages and the kids. And why I say this is most of these elderly people in the village, they're usually farmers. They go to farm, they harvest their goods, they process them, send them to town, or people come into those places to buy them and take to town. But due to the lockdown, people are not moving around. So they have things that they can't sell. They don't have money. They can't make money. So they are stuck with what they produce. So if I'm a farmer, for example, and I produce only yam, and I have to eat, and I sell my yam, and after selling my yam, I get some money, I'll be able to buy some rice, buy some beans, buy some other things to make different kinds of food in the house. I can't do that anymore because if I have yam and nobody's coming to buy my yam, I'm stuck with my yam. I don't have money to buy rice. I don't have money to buy any other thing. Do you understand what I'm saying? So
yes.
it's yeah, so it's the children and the elderly that are most vulnerable at this point. You
Well,
know.
I read that in South Africa, the government is distributing food approximately 54,000 people deemed vulnerable under the nationwide lockdown. But I question 54,000.
We all know that's
Oh
nuts.
my God.
We all
So you're dealing with severe hunger crisis, and
yeah.
the hunger is killing more than COVID.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's the new
Hunger is
virus.
killing more.
Yeah.
The gentleman in Lagos, the police were fighting him. He said, "I'd rather die of COVID than of
Of
hunger
hunger. Yeah.
because
Because
I've
that's
got
the
my mother-in-law, my children, all of them are dependent on me. I have to go out and beg." As a matter of fact, he has to beg, and sometimes he comes home with no food to feed all these people. It's got to be
because
devastating, and
it is.
the world needs to. I say, Black Lives Matter
Mhm.
everywhere. I'm
Oh
so
yeah.
proud of the Black Lives Movement,
Oh yeah. Same
Black
here.
Lives Matter movement in the United States. They have opened the eyes of the world to the plight
Of the world. Oh
of
yes.
the Black world. There is a plight that's in Africa that nobody's paying attention to.
Mm.
The starvation is, we are talking about 300,000 deaths a day.
It's terrible.
Now,
It's
I want
terrible.
you
Yeah.
to wrap your mind around that. A day. And there is no solution yet. How many African lives are going to be lost due to this pandemic? But not just the pandemic, but the hunger. You see, uh, the world was supposed to provide approximately, the donor nations were supposed to provide $1.9 billion. Okay?
Yeah.
This is not new money. This is money that was slated to be given to Africa for hunger. Where is it? They need to release that. And then if what it was being released, you and I are not seeing it. It's not in Abia State. But let me
Exactly. It's
ask
not.
you, what is Abia State doing?
Um. But right
That's got to
now,
be hard for the government.
it is hard. It is hard. There's only so much. You see, the thing about this state is, there's only so much the government can do. You know, it's they're doing what they can, but they, we wish more could be done. However, a lot of individuals are already coming out or coming forward. So people, I could call them philanthropists during this period, and are trying to give what they can, to help the situation as things stand. Yeah,
Yeah.
the government has been giving, a few cups of rice, few cups of beans, and all that. But then again, how many days is that going to last the people? A day or two,
If you have
and
a
then back.
family of six and you get 2 cups of rice,
Exactly.
what is that?
You understand what I'm saying? So it's really a poor, but then again, it's going around to as many people as possible. But how far can it really go? That's the problem. It can't, it's not even scratching the surface. These things are, it's just really a hard time. And our country is poorly managed. You understand what I'm saying? It's poorly
Yeah.
managed. We do not have the institutions in place to take care of its citizens and its people as it should, despite all the money that is being made or that has been made. We've lost it to careless, to corruption, and the whole 9 yards. So at a time like this, when you expect the government of Nigeria to sit up and be stand by its people and provide a cushioning effect for these hard times, there's nothing been done. Nothing. Everybody's left to to fend for themselves, literally. And then you're left to fend for yourself with restrictions. You can't move around, you can't go out, you can't do this, you can't do that. So it's a lose-lose situation.
You think the planning was done? Do you think it was like a sudden thing? The COVID was a sudden pandemic to Nigeria, where I mean, it was happening in China, in the United States, in England, and all those places. So we were all aware that it was
Yes.
happening. Now, you have to give them a little credit that they did have some preparations in terms of stemming the
Yeah.
pandemic,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think that the problem that we have is that we prepared for the food challenges poorly
Yeah. We did.
because we based it on European standards.
Yeah.
You
Not
understand?
not
Whereas
tailoring it
our
to suit.
people,
Yeah.
yeah, it should have been done to accommodate the fact that our people are farmers. This is
Mm-hmm.
how they feed. You understand
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So if you block all of that, how are they? These are very proud people, self-sustaining. Then
Yeah.
you deprive them of all of that. I feel the same way right here in the United States, where people who are used to, being on
Yeah.
their own, working, running
Mm-hmm.
businesses, and all of that is literally millions. Millions are unemployed, begging. I was watching a video of the gentleman who had a six-figure income. And here he was at a food kitchen. Well, not a pantry, begging. Can you imagine what that does? So when you find all these Nigerians who ordinarily, they are farmers, like you said, they sell in the market, all that's shut down. And then on top of that, you didn't provide them, it wasn't planned how they were going to be fed. Talk about that for a minute.
It's talking about is actually very exasperating when you think about it, how nothing whatsoever was put in place, for people to, I mean, let me just literally tell you what the government did. It said, well, with all this, we've done all these measures and everything. And if you're rich or you have money and you see your neighbor is hungry, help them. That's it.
Oh,
There's nothing we can do for you. Literally, that's what the president told us.
really?
So I don't know what else to add to it. If that is what they could tell us in black and white, do you understand? So it's a tragedy. I mean,
Tell
with
me.
it, when the
Oh,
president when your president comes out and says that on national TV as a broadcast,
oh my God. Well,
so what?
but to some degree, certainly, those of us who are able to do,
Yeah,
you do. I mean,
true.
it's if you remember in African history, well, in our tradition, not history necessarily,
Mm.
there's never a poor man in the village,
Yes,
because a
true.
rich man who has a farm will take some of his products from his farm and place it where the poor man can go and get it without asking questions.
Asking questions.
You see,
Yes,
so it is
true.
our tradition to help each other. But what is not right, however, is when we want to assert that tradition,
Sure.
then we don't get the support.
Mm-hmm.
We don't get the support. I mean, it has been amazing to me over and over asking. I don't care the price of buying a hamburger. You can donate that. That could feed the family. Do the best you can. And we don't ask you millions of dollars. We're just saying whatever you can give, give. We're on Facebook, Onyinye Project. It's one of the fundraisers on Facebook. We ask for help. We need help. We want to, I mean, I've been giving my own money because I know that as I give, is that not what we are told? If you give, if you open your hands and give to somebody in need, you're opening yourself for blessings. You can't get blessings with a closed fist. You have to open your hands. You have to give. Let your heart show. Tell the universe, I want mine. But before you get yours, you've got to give.
Yeah, true. For only
Only
giving is there
means
receiving.
to give so you can receive. Some of us are a little bit more in a position to help than others. We understand that. We're not saying that everybody has the rosy. No, of course not. Many people are struggling. Even here in the United States, there are people struggling. There are people, when you go to the gas station, there are a whole bunch of people out there asking for money. I never, and then you have young people who are selling water in the streets just to make a few dollars. What I do is I don't take their water. Perhaps I can sell it to someone else. I just give some money, that sort of thing. So there's a need everywhere. But we want the Onyinye program to feed more. And the only way we can feed more is if we get more support. Let us be reminded the villages where we are going, those people get no support whatsoever.
Whatsoever.
If
None.
we don't go in there, that means days upon days of no food, starvation, kwashoko, malnutrition. Now, what that is scared me when I read 300,000. I have to keep repeating that 300,000 lives. No, we're not going to affect all of those people. Of course not. But my God, can we affect some people? Can we have it in our heart to save some lives? Please. This is what this Onyinye Project is. Please give whatever you can. If you've given one time, that's not enough. If you can do it again, you keep doing. As a matter of fact,
Perfect.
we
Yeah.
welcome people who want to make constant donations. Even if it's $5 donations every month, that will go a long way.
It will.
You know, so this is what we're asking. There's nothing other people do for their people that we cannot do. You see what I'm saying? The same thing. If you look at Germany, my God, did you hear what Germany did?
Oh yeah. Oh,
Germany, look,
Germany is
there is
taking
no
it to took
country.
it to another level.
They took it to another. There is no country without people.
Hmm.
You see what I'm saying? If you
Yeah.
want a country, a healthy country, your people have to be taken care of.
True.
The reason why some of us who are perhaps in a little bit better position than others want to help is because I don't want to go to Nigeria and find nobody's there.
Exactly.
What am I going home for? I want to know I help to save lives.
Hmm.
It's not enough to say, okay, I'm good. I'm eating good. My family's eating good. No, that's
Yeah.
that's just part of living. That's not all it's all
It's
about.
all about. Yeah.
You've got
True.
to make sure. Now let me ask you, Uba,
Yes.
you have some young people who are helping you. How are they feeling about it? How does it impact them knowing, because they're not being paid. You're not being
Yeah.
paid. I'm not,
Yes.
none
They're
of
not.
us is getting paid. This is
They,
something
yes.
we're doing from the goodness of our heart. And
Yeah.
as Chiis, we understand
Mm.
that you cannot praise God, Chineke, without helping humanity.
That's it.
That's
Yeah.
the only way. How is it impacting these young people when they go out there with you, knowing that their activity, though not financially compensated, is making a difference?
Oh, that's the beauty of it. Okay, so I got three of my personal best staff. That's Chukwebeka, Kelechi, and Joe and Uche. And I had told them about this earlier on, and I said, look, this is volunteer. We're doing it as charity. At some point, we always have to give back. So don't be
Yes.
expecting nothing. And initially when I told them, I felt, oh, because they felt there was not going to be any pay from it, they'll probably not. But after 2 weeks, they kept calling me, okay, so when are we starting? And I
Oh,
was like, okay. And I kept, before that, I always remind them, remember, you're not getting paid. We're not getting paid. Oh, this is, so, y'all don't get it twisted. They're like, they know, I've told them, and everything. So, at each time they keep telling me, whenever, look, as a matter of fact, day for yesterday, one of their acts called me. I was like, are we not doing, when are we going again? I'm like, we're going this week. Calm down. We're about to go. For that, it was really something. The beautiful part of it is that each and every one of them wants us to bring it to their village.
oh,
They're hoping, like, please, can we arrange so we can go to my mother's place, or we can arrange my and all, we go to my village so we can take this food to my people as well. Because the thing is, they all know people are suffering, and the beauty
all
of it
over,
is
all
all
over,
over. And the
all
beauty
over.
the beauty of it is that they are. I'm so proud of them because they are really. It's really, you know
I know.
I'm just so proud of them. You know what it is, and they want to give, they want to help because they know people are, the places we've been to, we've seen what it is, what it's like. Sometimes when you have things hard, you think you're suffering, till you go and see other people, and you'll be like, wow,
Wow,
look, you're in heaven. You know
you
what
are
it
in
is.
heaven.
So I just saying it. It really changed them. They are like, the last trip was like, to them was like, wow.
Yeah.
And one of them cases, Kelechi said in pidgin, people they suffer,
Yes.
which ways people are suffering.
My daughter,
It's
my
hmm
daughter asked me, Mom, so when are they going to feed them? I need to make my donation. I don't ask her. She just understands,
yeah,
that
yeah.
need is there, that she's blessed. My son the other day, okay, when is the next feeding? When people understand that they are blessed, when they see that other people don't even have the basic things they have,
Didn't have
they want to give. And I want them to see that, because you never know. That's for the
you never
grace
know.
of the Almighty.
Yeah,
You could be in that situation someday. You don't know.
true,
Nobody
true.
knows. When you
Nobody knows.
turn your back on something like this, my God, I always pray for those who do that, because
Yeah,
you
I
just
know.
don't know. You just don't know. I mean, I did a video where I talked about the fact that during the war,
Mm.
we didn't have food. We ate mice My children like, ew. I said, oh yeah.
And at
But
that
when
time, it
the
was
drugs are
mice was delicious, right
mice
there,
was delicious back then.
right there, because
And those
when you
crickets, you name it,
exactly,
when you're hungry.
exactly, mice will look like a juicy steak.
I mean, guess what? When too many people are hungry, there's no more mice to eat.
There's nobody.
They're not extinct because everybody's got to eat, and they eat whatever
Exactly.
they can. You know.
Uh-huh.
So the bottom line is we we are obligated, all of us, my brothers and sisters here in the United States that are from Nigeria. I need you today. I'm talking to you to reach into your pocket. I want my phone to ring today. I want people to say, Dr. Timmy, okay, let's do this. You know, and one of the things that I want to share is we're not we're not just doing this for our own villages.
Hmm.
I would
Exactly.
even go to my father's village.
Exactly.
I've got people from my father's village saying, what about us? What about us?
Right.
But our focus is not just us because the need is everywhere.
The
So we
need is
want to
everywhere.
go
Yeah.
everywhere that there's a need. I have people in Yoruba land that call me. I have people in Hausa land that call me. If I can give, I give. I don't care. Are you in need? That's all. That's all we're interested in.
That's all. Yeah.
That is our obligation. We don't get into ethnocentrism. We don't get
No.
into tribalism.
No.
Hunger is hunger.
Exactly. It knows no tribe,
Black
no
lives
race, no
matter.
religion, nothing. Yeah.
Not black tribes matter.
Matter.
Black
Yeah.
lives matter. Wherever the need is,
Is.
that's where we go. That's where we go. Even at some point when things get a little better, we want to go as far into Nigeria as we possibly can.
Possible cat. Yeah.
Today we were supposed to have some young people. Unfortunately, they sent their information too late for me to fit them into the program. They were supposed to have been on this program from the island. They are here in America and they are stuck, you know, and they can't go to school. They don't have money to survive. They want to go back home. They don't have the means to go back home. So they're stuck here. But the Onyinye program, because we don't see boundaries, we don't see boundaries. We help whoever needs help. So they have a fundraising program that they were supposed to share today, but the information came to me too late. So we're going to have to set up another program so that we can introduce them to our community and see what help we can offer them.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you. One of the other concerns that we have is healthcare. Okay,
Yeah.
with hunger
Mhm.
comes sickness. And with that sickness comes the need for healthcare. How is the healthcare in Abia State managing beyond the COVID? Now you've got the starvation issues. Tell me about that.
It's okay because right now the resident doctors are on strike.
Oh my goodness, why?
Yeah, it has to do with some issues they're having with the federal government. So you have people now, you're being turned away to the private hospitals, and some of the private hospitals won't let you in because they have, once you come into the hospital and they feel you're sick, they think it's COVID because they don't have the material. Most of them don't have the proper equipment, the PRP to protect themselves, the PEP to protect themselves.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
okay, give an example. The other day, my mom had a health issue, and I had to rush her to the hospital because her blood pressure was over you know, over the roof, and she couldn't breathe. That was some time back,
Oh dear.
and I rushed her to the hospital. And I was there at the hospital, and the nurse will not, they won't let us in. And I was like, my mom can't is breathing and she's dying, and you can't do anything. I was like, sorry, that's what those are her organ's instruction. You know, I was like, can't you even just come and check her blood pressure or just make? I don't know that she can't. And then, of course, I lost my rag and cursed her out and drove off. You know, so it's that bad. You know, and those of the private hospitals who are taking in people, if they are, can't. They're so
Those are
expensive
very
that
expensive, aren't they?
yeah, they're expensive. Do you understand? With the regular person can't afford. So where you have the Federal Medical Center, which is all for all and sundry, at least is much more affordable, for people to afford, because it's not like we do have health insurances and all those things here. You know, you find now those doctors are on strike, so it's like with the whole system is just designed to kill us all.
Oh dear. Is the government doing anything about what they're requesting, the PPEs?
We haven't even heard from the president.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness, I don't know who did this to us. Oh, we must have done something very wrong.
So
You know,
we haven't heard from the president about
don't.
the strike. Is it a national
Yeah,
strike?
it's a national strike.
Oh my goodness. So right now, when people are sick, and you've got the COVID, you've
You
got the
better not.
hunger,
You
there are
best
no
not be
doctors,
sick. You
no
best
health
not be sick
workers.
this period.
Oh my God. Yes,
I'm
people need
telling
to
you.
start learning how to use natural remedies now.
Oh yeah,
If
I'm
you guys,
telling you.
so
It's
that is, uh, one of the things that concerns me a lot about this hunger in if it's not resolved,
yeah,
it gets out of hand and there's nothing you can do
true.
because what sustains the people is literally breaking down. The farm, right?
Yeah.
The markets, the marketplaces. After
Mm.
a while, those places will literally die off. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
because why do I say that? The people who operate them, if they're dying of starvation, many of them will be gone.
Exactly.
You
It's
see what I'm saying?
like I said.
It is not sustainable for us not to be able to feed the people who are responsible for bringing up the economy.
Yeah. Like I said earlier, it's as if the system is just designed to, kill us all. But it's just somehow I don't know what to attribute, but people just have the will to live. I was speaking with a friend yesterday over the phone, and he was really complaining bitterly how because he works with this population council, and they've not had any jobs due to the COVID. It's an NGO sponsored stuff with the Nigerian government, and so they haven't had any jobs, and they haven't received no salaries for over 3 months. Nothing is happening,
Who
and
are these?
he works with the population council in Nigeria.
Mm,
But they get paid by assignments. What they do, but there has been no assignments due to the COVID-19. You understand?
mm.
So he was talking to me, and I just told him, look, you have to hang in there. You know, it looks bleak right now, but you just gotta hang in there. And that's the most I can tell anybody at times like this. You have to hang in there because there's nothing more to be said. You can't. This and just basically give people hope. That's just as it stands right now. It's just basically to give people hope. It's sad. It's a sad reality. It's the best one can do, and it's the best I can do at the moment. And with the Onyinye project and feeding people, the feeding program we're doing, going to the rural areas, it's just giving people hope. And once people have hope or a little hope, they will have something to live for, which is very important. So you know I it's a shame.
What other you know of exists in Abia State right now that is helping feed beyond the Onyinye Project? How many more do you know?
Well, personally, I don't know any other
NGOs.
NGO though that is feeding. However, there are individuals who have been given food items,
Okay.
raw food items,
How is
but
that? How is that playing the raw food items when people don't have gas to cook?
it's
How's that
that's
working?
well, it's funny, you give them raw rice and everything, and they don't have tomatoes and other things to cook it with, So I guess the people just improvise with what they do with it, probably use vegetables or anyhow to, It's just right now. It's almost it's right now. It feels like you're in the middle of a war. It's just that
Mhm.
there's no bombings or anything. You don't have to run, but you just have to survive. That war environment where it's just a survival. There's no food, there's nothing is moving, there's no money, there's nothing whatsoever. But you have the faith. The only difference right now is no one is throwing bombs at us. you
Hmm.
know. Yeah, so that's just what it is.
I it does get very overwhelming sometimes. You want to
Yeah.
not cry, and I know how difficult it is because I get these calls, and to be. I try not to say, okay, I can't be bothered anymore. It's too many. It's too many. But oh my God, the sad thing is that they're not lying.
Yeah.
They're not lying. They are hungry. There's nothing worse than being hungry. Anybody who has never had food understands the pain, hunger.
It's terrible.
I can't get that phone call out of my ears of that little boy say, Mommy, I've not eaten. You know what? I helped for that day. About the next day
Day.
and the next day,
Oh.
still going to be hungry. So we have to consistently provide opportunities for feeding. We want to feed more. Right now, we're feeding about 200. We want to feed 1,000. We want to feed 4,000. We want to feed many, many more.
Oh.
We're trying now to work with the United Nations to see what we can do to increase the number of people we feed. But in the meantime, we're asking for help. We're not asking for too much money. Just whatever you can give. You can visit us on Facebook, Onyinye Project. Go and make your donation. Whatever you can. It is not something we can ignore because nobody else talks about us. As sad as it is, I can't go on any television show today here and see any conversation about the dying masses in Africa. I don't see that. You get occasional mention, that the pandemic has hit Africa, you know, and it's growing there. But it's not saying anything about how do we help them survive. This young man says we're running away from the virus, but the lack of food must not kill us. So we have to not go hungry. We have to beg. We need the world to help. Let us not close our ears to the cries of our brothers and sisters on the continent. You have a lot of people who say, okay, we're going to go to Africa. We're going to come together. There will be nobody to go together to meet if they're all dying.
Exactly.
We have got to stop living in a fantasy world about Africa. All of us, those of us who live here and those of us who live there, that continent is not going to be there forever unless we do some kind of intervention. The people who build up Africa, who live there, who keep the commerce going, people who buy from each other, who do the farming, who produce the food, if they die off, there is no Africa. Each and every one of us have a responsibility. It's not just on your project. If you have a project yourself that you can do it now.
Yes. Absolutely.
Let them see you. They need to be fed. They don't need just cups of rice. If they can't cook it, the rice that what they're going to do, they eat it raw. No, it's true. I've had somebody who told me they chew rice. They don't have water to cook it. No fire. So it's all jolly well and good to give them all these bags of food. How they gonna cook it? They carry it, they go home. There's no water. Some places, yes, but a lot of places, no. So what we're trying to do is to make sure, in addition to the bags of rice and yams and all that good stuff, we want to make sure that we go to where people need to eat right there and then. Even if you have one good meal for that day, maybe that'll hold you up for another couple of days because some of them are going for days without. Ladies and gentlemen, um, there's nothing more important than we can do in life than to be the cause and the reason for the joy in somebody's heart, for the food in somebody's stomach. Whatever you can do, don't hesitate. Don't consume yourself with doubt. Just give. Just give, please. I am not too proud to beg for somebody to help somebody else. I know the pain of hunger. I lived through it during the war. So I know these people are going through hell. If we as Africans can't help them, then what right do we have to ask somebody else to help them? What right do we have to ask Red Cross or Purple Heart or whomsoever if we're not willing to do it? We're doing what we're doing because we feel we're obligated to do something. And all we need is a little help from you. Oba, may God bless you. Chineke bless you each and every day you have breath. For coming to answer the call when we called you. And we are going to continue to supply you with funds so you can continue with your young men and women. Go out there and be hope, joy for these people. As we give, as you give, so shall you receive. Ladies and gentlemen, I beg you, to Chiism.org, you're going to hear that you can read a little bit more about our organization, what we're trying to do. And we also ask you to go to our what do you call it? Have our channel, Chiism of Africa, on YouTube. We want you to go there. We have numerous videos for you to see. And we want you to please support this program, support us, because our goal is to support the world. We want to support people who are suffering. Go to Chiism of Africa. And if you don't mind subscribe, we will appreciate it. And we are going to continue to do what Chineke wants us to do, and that is to serve humanity. I want to thank Judea of in America, and we want to thank Chiism and Hamba Kitchen and AWEC International Services in Nigeria, as well as AWEC in the United States, and all those wonderful people who continue give to the best of their ability. Thank you so very much, Oba, and I hope you have a wonderful day. And we look forward to seeing you again, where you can share with us the last feeding that you, well, the one that the new one that you're about to do. Again,
looking forward to it. Thank you so much for having me.
So it is. Okay, bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.